The following is an exclusive presentation of the Huskers Radio Network. It's time for Nebraska Cornhuskers football.
Rogers deep for Nebraska. Here's Wiley's kick. Gets high. It holds up there. Rogers takes the ball at the 30. He's hit and got away. Back upfield to the 35, to the 40. He's to the 45. He's to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, to the 20, to the 10. He's all the way home.
Rozier turns. He's running back around the field. He's trying to get away. He's looking for blockers. He turns upfield. He's going to run a touchdown.
In the top play, and it's Schlesinger inside the 5. In there for the touchdown. He's got the touchdown.
And an option to the right. Tommy on the keep, turns the corner, 25-30. Eludes a tackler, 35. Tommy Frazier, 37, 38, 39, 40, 45, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30. He's going to
cross to the middle. Juggle. Diving touchdown, Nebraska. Davison on the deflection.
Who gives it back to Mike Stuntz. He's going to throw it. He's got a man out there for 40. It is Eric Crouch. 15, 10, 5.
The kick is on its way, and the kick is good.
40, Roy to midfield. Roy held it to the 40, to the 30, to the 20. You betcha. That is a touchdown for Nebraska.
Back to Burkhead off the left side. Rex has a seam. 15, 10. Burkhead 5. Dives. He's in. Touchdown, Nebraska. And the Huskers have come all
the throw down toward the goal line, going up. Ball tipped in the air. Caught. Touchdown. Jordan Westerkamp. Nebraska wins the game on the final play of the contest. Oh, baby.
Brought to you locally by '23 was Matt Rule's first season as head coach at Nebraska. Expectations were high, but two tough opponents led to a disappointing start to the year.
Final play of the game. Kesich lined up. The snap down, the kick sailing towards the uprights, and the kick is good. And the Gophers score 10 points in the last 5 minutes. And they walk Nebraska off tonight 13-10.
After opening the season at 0-2, NU turned to a new quarterback, Nebraska native Heinrich Haarberg. With Haarberg under center and the emergence of some young, talented wide receivers, the Huskers offense began to take off.
Heinrich gonna step back, little G-belly action. There's a man wide open, it's Jalen Lloyd. The throw, he makes a catch. 30, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Nebraska. Back to throw, a play action look. Heiberg gonna take a shot downfield, has a man wide open. Malachi Coleman makes a catch. Touchdown, Nebraska.
While the offense had its ups and downs, the black shirts consistently kept Nebraska in games.
Two stacked from the slot to the near side. Sanders rolling right, gets hit, and brought down. A second sack on this drive. Lenhart again, his second sack. Boy, that true freshman can play. Brings him down back at the 41. Back to throw. Step throws downfield, taking a deep shot down the field, and the ball's intercepted. Picked off by Tommy Hill. Has an INT. He's at the 15 to the 20. Breaks a tackle. Skirts to the outside. 25. Makes a man miss. Slides his way to the 28-yard line. Tommy Hill's second pick in as many weeks.
Despite all the highlights in 2023, the Huskers missed a bowl game for the 7th consecutive season. But the momentum has been building all offseason. And with Matt Rule's track record of improvement in his second year at college programs, the confidence of Husker Nation is high.
You know, the team in year 2 figured out how to win. They got to a bowl game and they won the bowl game. So I think we have the same level from our older guys of accountability. It's just, you know, learning how to win. I mean, you know, that's the secret sauce of where we have to get to with this team, right? So that's why I'm not easing into it.
But perhaps the biggest reason for optimism in Lincoln lies squarely on the shoulders of a true freshman quarterback.
Back to throw is Raiola. Holding, set, a little flip to the end zone. Pass is caught. Touchdown. Nebraska's on the board.
He's attacked everything since he's started learning the offense. He attacks it. He works really hard. He works into the night. He He's just a young pro. You know, he's always going to get better, and there's still maturing that he's going to have to do. But he attacks it like a pro, and you know he stays there until he gets it right and gets it in his brain, and then he goes out there like today, and we go start learning how to execute those things.
The time for speculation, predictions, and talking has ended. The 2024 season has arrived.
You know, again, it goes back to the work that you put in all off season. This is, you know, you've studied the opponent the first four a couple times already throughout the year, and you can feel it out at practice. You know, your mind just races, but it's a good feeling. It's football season, right? So it's a good feeling.
It's just fun and exciting. It was like, okay, finally we're here, you know, but we never arrived. You know, the hay's never in the barn. The work is not done yet. You know, but we're here. We can finally play somebody. You know, it's a different jersey, different color, and just see where all the work that we've done, winter, spring, summer, and see what we can prevail from that.
All right, it's bigger than any just one guy. It's about the team. It's about the university. It's about the state. It's about everyone that comes to the game. So I'm excited to be at home, and that's why we're going to start off playing the way we want to play at the end of the year, at the beginning of the year. And if it doesn't look perfect early on, we're not going to flinch. We're not going to flinch. We're going to do what we do and just try to get better every game so that when we end the season, we'll have played our best game the last game.
Anticipation, excitement, passion. It's another season of Nebraska Cornhusker football, and we begin year 2 of the Matt Rule era here on the Huskers Radio Network. What a start to our broadcast year. We welcome everybody into another season of Nebraska football and another year of our Dakota Mac Husker Game Day show here on the Huskers Radio Network. Ben McLaughlin joined once again this season by Husker color analyst Damon Benning. What a start. You heard there, introing to our season by our maestro back in the controls, Josh Hilkeman, getting us excited for the season. DB, there's just not a feeling like the walk into the stadium the first time. I mean, we've waited so long. It seems like 3 years ago since the end of year number 1 of Matt Rule. So much has happened, but the feeling in your gut, no matter what's happened the year before, the offseason, whatever it might be, the internal optimism and just the burning desire in the belly just never goes away.
Yeah, it's beautiful, right? It's everybody's got hope, right? Week 1, and it's a full slate of college football. It's Nebraska. We're here early. It has been nothing short of spectacular. And then just to hear Coach Rule and this staff all offseason, man, I'm ready to go.
To be honest with you, I was having this conversation with Matt Coatney before the broadcast. The first show is always really hard to put together because you're trying to shove everything into the first one because of everything that's happened. And, you know, to me, there's been so much to go over and so much to highlight and so much to prepare for that it's hard to find a starting point to what this season actually was. But what's been the feeling for you just kind of seeing things unfold to help lead us to today, of recapping everything that's happened, as close as you are now with the program, with your son being a part of this? This is a different offseason for you as well, but how have you kind of slowly digested everything that there is to take heading into the first one?
Yeah, and I get it, right, with what I'm about to say, because we're still a little traumatized from the last time this term or phrase, or it's been alluded to with this Nebraska football team. But I think they want to be fearless, right? And I get the whole no fear of failure thing, but this is different because they're speaking it into existence. You listen to Coach Rule all offseason, right? What it takes to win close games, embracing the opportunity. Pressure is a privilege. Hey, we're not calling this offensive scheme with Raiola like he's, you know, a freshman. Hey, we're going to stay with this offense. It may not look the way that we want it to early, but we won't flinch. Like, all these things that he said all offseason for me have been about how can we instill confidence in this football team, and we're going to let it rip. And if that's and that would be a nice, pleasant surprise, because this is a game in which you have to play fast and you absolutely have to be fearless. You train in such a way where you put everything in and you let the outcomes be what they may. And that's just what it is. And you let it ride and you do it again. And I think if this team can embrace that for the first time in a long time, B-Mac, I feel pretty good about a roster where I feel like they can take some chances.
And I feel like everything kind of culminates with everything we'll talk about today, not only today, but as the season moves forward, falls under one umbrella and one word, and that's culture. And we're going to talk a lot about that here today. But, you know, to me, when you start working through the milestones of the offseason and everything that's happened to help kind of stoke that fire and get that spark ignited again for 2024. December 11th, to me, was the start of the offseason. And for those that have no idea what happened on December 11th, let me remind you, that's when Isaac Gifford posted on his social media that he was coming back to Nebraska. Yeah. This is a young guy that is really trying to grab this team by the horns, him and several others that we'll lay out. But really the first piece that's like, okay, we are to get a guy like him and a player like him to want to come back and steer this thing the right direction. December 11th to me was a very important day for this program and for Matt Rule to start this offseason in the right direction.
Yeah, and he's listen, I mean, he may be my favorite non-bending on the roster, right? I mean, he has been incredible, a guy that I have a particular affinity for since high school. And he's one of those key guys that I think of that older regime that have a chance to really end this thing the way that they wanted to. They established some different kind of habits early, and it's now been this change, kind of this 180 in terms of how to go about doing business. And that mentality will be what's counted on. You got guys like Ty Robinson and Nash and Tommy Hill and Isaac Gifford, guys with some carryover that have a chance to put this staff into practical application. Man, all eyes on the Deuce. I mean, I hope he gets loose, right? I'm a huge fan, and that's a guy you want to start your temperament with. And
it's just becomes so easy to root for guys like that. Yeah. I mean, it's weird when a fan favorite before anything's manifested on the field. You've had a few of them, right? Amir was that way. Going back in time, you've had players that were like, you talk to them one or two times, like, this is going to be one that you circle. Westerkamp was another one that you just knew fans were going to latch onto, and Ike's certainly one of those guys. The offseason as a whole, how'd we do? How do you feel like with Matt Rule, with everything he did, new coaching change, recruiting class, bringing in Dylan, and manifesting an offense that I think is going to look quite a bit different with some healthy bodies, trying to replicate what Tony White did last year, all-encompassing, DB. How'd we do? Yeah, you got to give it a plus. And I get it. People will give you the side eye or the eye roll, and, here they go winning the offseason. And I always laugh, right? It's like, so what are the alternatives? You want to lose it, right? I mean, and let's just take it incrementally. Right? You lose an athletic director in the offseason. Potentially on paper, you may have upgraded. You add an assistant coach in Coach Thomas. You didn't have that position before specifically. You allow Coach Satt to do his thing. You may have upgraded. You lose Coach Cooper. Later on, you bring in John Butler. For as great as Coop was and how full he left that cupboard, you may have upgraded. You talk about the recruiting class and the young guns and a lot of guys that they have on the cusp of taking some meaningful snaps. You may have upgraded. So when you look at it across the board, with the hand that Nebraska was dealt and how they played cards, I think the offseason was fantastic because you give yourself another year and another offseason around this particular mindset. And here's the sneaky thing that I think we ought to pay attention to. It's a good offseason for the coaches, too. They remember Michigan State. They remember Maryland. They remember clock management late. They remember game situations. So now they have tape, too. And they're going to hold themselves accountable. So I think everything around this whole program, everybody's got a chance to upgrade, and I think that's how they looked at it. One thing that I certainly want to hit on in this first segment is you and I, with our positions, get unique access and different privileges than a lot of fans. And so we feel the responsibility to articulate things that we see that other people don't have the benefit of seeing. Some of that has changed a little bit with what Nebraska has done with their social media presence and the videos that they put out online. And to me, that's really cool for us to not have and bear that responsibility. People can draw their own conclusions from meetings or, things that they see in those clips. And as something I wanted to touch on that hopefully fans that have seen, some of those series that have been the Chasing 3 series and other things that have been put out on social media, that it hit me almost instantly. And for lack of a better phrase, the power of the end, right? Yeah. You and I were sitting in these chairs a year ago wondering what this Matt Rule guy was going to look like. What's his culture going to be like? What's his team going to look like? Yeah, we heard some of the messaging. We heard it from some of the players, but we weren't quite sure, when the tough got going, what was this actually going to be? And we learned quite a bit in year number 1. But to me, the thing that instantly struck me with Coach Rule was the power this place had on him and how much he's just embraced everything that this job is. You heard it there in the montage. You know, this is about winning, but it's about us. It's about the players. It's about the fans. It's about the state. Year 1 already, and he gets it. He's gotten it. And to me, it speaks how valuable the N is as a whole, what this stadium means. You hear Campbell talk about, you know, people sitting in these seats. That was so powerful to me, and I hope the fans that got to kind of consume that can appreciate the strides and steps we're taking to bleed what's actually going on behind the curtain into what we believe as fans and as supporters of the program, to have that lead to on-field success was, I think, was really cool of the team to show all that.
Yeah, it's a fantastic point, right? And you talk about not having to feel the burden to fill in the blanks, and that's part of it. But I you know, to go back to a couple of weekends where we were down on some visits, right, and we're spending time talking, and Coach Rule's at the table, and we're talking about all the transition that's happened in the athletic department and the changing landscape of NIL, and, you know, a new boss is in town and a couple new guys on staff. And he says, you know what nobody ever asked me, DB? He goes, he was tied to this athletic director, or he was tied to this person, or I lost Coach Coop. He says, you know what? He said, at the end of the day, I love this place. This place means more to me than anything. My wife is happy. My family's happy. I love this place enough to let Bryant come to school here. Like, that's not talked about enough, how I feel about the state of Nebraska. He said, that's enough. And just listening to him, I remember driving back to Omaha, and I'm thinking, if he has that kind of reverence for this place and its history and how it makes he and his family feel, imagine how a guy that is like the king of messaging in common language could infuse that into his team, right? Because that's what he believes. It's not just lip service. There's a true passion and a true love, and you know about love. It's like when you truly love something, it's greater than you. And that's the whole key to this thing. It's not just about me, the individual. It's not just about me, the Z receiver, me, the quarterback, me, the center, me, the head coach, me, the DC. Like, it's a greater good. And the better you are at that kind of reverence and having that be a real thing, I'm glad you talked about it, because they truly do love and appreciate this place. And you can tell they treat it accordingly.
And I think because of everything we just spent the last few minutes talking about, you're going to see that permeate into pretty much everything that we talk about on this show and what the season ends up looking like. So that was really important to address early on.
That's a great point.
And I think we now move forward into some of the other stuff that starts from that point and moving on. We're just getting started here on the Dakota Mac Husker Game Day Show. Blue Cross and Blue Shield Nebraska honors Nebraska's outstanding teachers who help students live their best and healthiest lives. Tell us about your favorite Nebraska educator at huskers.com/touchdowns for teachers. Coming up here on our program, DB and I will talk a little bit more about what we mean by culture and things that we've seen to get those pieces in place for a successful season in 2024. Our Cornhusker Conversation is back this year. Today we talked to Deshun Singleton. Jessica Cootie had a chance to sit down with Nebraska safety returning from injury. We'll break down today's opponent, UTEP, our game changer, coming your way as well. But before we hit our first break, there's something that is happening today that, beyond the football game, that people are excited for, particularly in this room. 8/31 is a day that a lot of people have had circled on their calendars for a long time. And to a guy that means the world to me and to everybody in this room that's affiliated with this network and Husker fans that listen to the radio, it's a day that Greg Sharp has had circled on his calendar for a long time. As many of you know, Greg was diagnosed with cancer and has been fighting this fight since the middle of March. I wanted to make sure I talked about this now before he's at the stadium and he's throwing things at me and getting mad at me
he wouldn't be happy with us
for talking about it. But this is the only time it will be talked about today, because he doesn't make it about himself. But today is a special day for him. It's a celebration of everything that he's had to fight through to get to this point. many lonely days in a hospital bed where he's by himself and scared and nervous. And the only thing that probably kept him going, aside from his family and his faith, was Nebraska football. You know, being as tied to Greg as I am during baseball season, to see the impact that had on him, I know this was the day that he could feel validated in his fight. And I'm so excited. I'm thrilled. We're going to be celebrating today that Greg's going to be up there calling the game. That's where he belongs. That's where he wants to be. That's where we all want him to be. And I'm so proud of him. And this is a day that many of us are going to remember for a long time. Sharpie, we love you. We're with you. Anything we can do to make this easier for you, to just let us know. But today's your day, man. We love you, and I've got your energy drink in here in my bag waiting for you when you need it. So 8:31 is a special day for all of us, and we're very happy that our own Greg Sharp is going to be in the booth doing what he needs to be doing. That's calling Husker football. There, I'm done. Needed to be said. I won't say anything else about it, and we'll move on, and we'll get into talk about the X's and O's and everything that you want us to spend time talking about as our show continues. We'll take a break. Stay with us. We got plenty more ahead.
You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
Set, hike. When champions take the field, they come ready to play. TNL Irrigation understands the value of momentum. Like a Husker drive, there's no stopping. If you live for farming and football like we do, TNL Irrigation has you covered. Check your fields from the game with a remote system, or just enjoy the play knowing our systems are reliable as a sold-out Memorial Stadium. Touchdown! Nebraska born, Nebraska strong. Husker Nation and TNL Irrigation are like no other.
If you've been looking for a reason to fill up your car with unleaded 88, how about this? Unleaded 88
can help you save big at the pump
and save the planet by cutting greenhouse gas emissions.
Any car 2001 or newer is approved to use unleaded 88. Speaking of good, it's made from corn, which is great for farmers.
As I was saying, if you need a reason to choose unleaded 88, there you have them. Unleaded 88. Engine smart, earth kind. Visit chooseunleaded88.com to learn more.
This is Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac. You're listening to Big Red Football.
From Omaha to Ogallala, Nebraska is 2 million Huskers strong. And Medica has health plans to cover them all. From the farmer with a growing family, to the barista at the corner coffee shop, to the grandpa who gets his grandkids off to school. No matter where you are in life, we have health plans to meet your needs. We got your back. With Medica, you're not just covered, you're cared for. Find out more at medica.com. That's medica.com.
We got your back. John Henry's has a brand new membership club to protect your entire home in one program. With a VIP and a deluxe option, we will help you find the plan that best fits your needs. Receive discounts on services and equipment, priority service, complimentary inspections, and so much more. Protect your home's plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical systems all in one membership. Call John Henry's to learn more.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing. Heating and air.
And electrical.
Tired of worrying about what to make for dinner? Try Gary's Quick Steak. It's delicious, convenient, and easy to make in minutes as it cooks from frozen. It also has over 20 grams of protein per serving, is gluten-free, and is made with real beef and chicken. Enjoy sandwiches, enchiladas, stir-fry, quality sirloin, chicken, and corned beef ready in minutes. Simply sizzle, flip, and savor.
I promise you, if you try it, you're absolutely going to love it.
Visit our website to find a store near you.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey, son, can you hand me that vice grip? As any farmer or rancher knows, having the right tools in the toolbox is important. That goes for your ag lending as well. If you're considering expansion, restructuring debt, or purchasing equipment, call Dakota Mac. We have a toolbox full of lending solutions to help you with your ag financing needs.
Hi, it's Nick Luxinger from Dakota Mac in Columbus, Nebraska. Call me at 402-740-6445 for all your ag financing needs.
To be a part of Nebraska medicine.
Hi, welcome.
Is to be a part of something extraordinary.
Nebraska Medicine, how may I help you?
Because these are the doors that open doors.
How are you?
To growth and opportunity for each other and for our community.
That went really well.
For those who know that the academic experience.
You know what? I agree.
The life experience that you get here is beyond what you can get anywhere else. And that's exactly why here is where you belong. Join us at nebraskamed.com/careers. Nebraska Medicine. Together, extraordinary.
Let's pause 15 seconds for station identification on the Huskers Radio Network. You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
Cornerstone Bank is committed to providing you game-changing solutions for your financial needs. Bank on a solid foundation. Cornerstone Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Welcome back, Dakota Mac Husker Game Day show here on the Huskers Radio Network. Ben McLaughlin joined by Husker color analyst Damon Benning. DB, let's dive a little bit further into our culture conversation that we had to open the show. And I think a big part of that is the messaging from the coaching staff and, you know, the intangibles that this place of Nebraska brings naturally. But the players matter in this too. We talked about Isaac Gifford and mentioned a couple of the other names. But one thing that I thought was really, really cool that they included in those pieces were the players' whys. And this is something that's talked about in sports, mostly internally in locker rooms and, you know, maybe from position group to position group, but to actually hear from your peers and to hear from guys that are doing the exact same thing you're doing, running the stadium stairs, the morning lifts, the meetings, all the other stuff that's required of you, but laying that foundation, that framework for younger players to understand the journey they're about to go on and how important it is to the end result, but more on a personal level, things that go on in their own personal lives. These are players that come from all different walks of life, all different paths to get to where they are, all different backgrounds, fighting for the same thing. And to hear from those guys in front of a team in that type of setting was special. And I think that is a big piece to what we're talking about.
Yeah, it absolutely is, because it's like, I love it. The whole simple versus easy thing is what comes to mind, right? It's simple to talk about, but it's not easy to do, right? Hey, what's your why? And so, all of a sudden you're asking, it's like, well, I want to get to the, so the execution of it, and it gives you some insight, a level of appreciation, not only for people's authenticity and kind of them letting you in, but also you get to know what they're plugged into. Right? And it just helps you better deal with people. You can understand, you can empathize, you can sympathize, because I think those are two different things. But just the level of honesty, where I think we in a day where we rather text than pick up the phone or go knock on somebody's door, just to hear somebody authentically say why it is that they do what they do. I think there's power in that, because I mean, there's a handful of us in this room that would be uncomfortable doing that at our age, and we're supposed to know better, right? So the more you incorporate that as young men at this critical juncture in their life, there's definitely power in it, man, and it'll tug at you. And you don't feel comfortable doing it unless there's an environment that presents itself from doing it. Right. So if that environment's not there, Isaac Gifford's not going to get up and talk about Luke and everything that he went through, and maybe not getting recruited as highly as he wanted, and all the other dynamics that are constantly changing of how you get to where you are. If the environment doesn't present itself to that, you don't get to that level. You're not digging that deep of that emotional connection that you're bringing to your teammates and to everybody else around you. The environment has to be there to do it, and to have that already, I think, is pretty telling. Yeah, it's incredible. It's like the talent show, right? The talent show isn't about necessarily the talent. The talent level is about conquering those fears to be around your peers and to be who you are, right? It's like, and when you can do that, like you could say, well, I think the world of you. If you're like, hey, DB, sing song X, Right? Oh, no, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's something empowering about knowing that you're going to give me a safe place to land. And I like that, because what happens is when it's crunch time, because you might say, well, what does that have to do with winning? Well, nothing but everything, right? It's like the environment doesn't matter. Where I am doesn't matter. You know what does matter is that we're together doing this and I got your 6, right? Like that's ultimately what it's about. So it definitely matters, and you can see the end game.
When I talk about culture permeating into a lot of different areas, I'm talking about that. I'm also talking about, something you and I spoke to a ton on this show last year was the consistency of messaging. That hasn't gone anywhere. In fact, it's probably ratcheted up a few notches. And now our fans are even talking about it, right? Chasing 3, dominant contact. These things that you're hearing consistently and constantly. It's not only to the team level now, it's past the media and it's into the fans with how that is. To take that one step further and kind of tie this whole thing together with the access to see on the screen of the player meetings, the 3 emphasis of the football team of the fall, right? Win the turnover battle, most physical team in football, culture of execution. To get that taste and flavor of everything that's being, for lack of a better phrase, pushed down the players' throats every single day for fall camp. As fans, we understand, and now we can come to, we know what to expect. Like,
it's that built-in accountability that I talk about, right?
And so now
common language lends itself to built-in accountability.
And for us to be able to peek behind the curtain and actually see the tangible things that is being spoken to, like, it's one thing if you and I are sitting back here like, yeah, the team worked really hard.
Hey, you know what? They just need to play better. Well, what does that mean?
Exactly. To hear the head coach say it and to not have anybody else have to say it for you, to me, that was one of the coolest things about that series is like, okay, well, if you had any questions about what the Huskers were working on fall camp, those questions are answered based on that one slide that's on the team meeting board. To me, that's all encompassing to everything that we've talked about, and it helps this conversation evolve to where we are about making game 1 easier to consume, is because we know exactly what a good-looking Nebraska football team should look like today.
We can almost speak the language, right? It's just, hey, are they dominating contact? Hey, did they win the turnover battle? Hey, I saw how you played, but does that match what the culture is that we talked about? I saw how you reacted to that play, or how, whatever it is. It is just like these built-in deals where you can take a good hard look and say, check the box, or hey, we need to get better.
One thing I wrote down a while back for this show was, a year ago, we were wondering. There was a lot to wonder. I don't feel like we're wondering anymore. And I feel like that's pretty rare 1 year into a tenure to not wonder for a team that underachieved, didn't make a bowl game.
Yeah. Well,
we're not wondering anymore. Is that weird?
It's absolutely incredible. But you know what I think it is? And I've thought a lot about this, because sometimes I'll leave conversations with Coach Rule and I'm like, this guy's totally playing chess, and I'm like, I need to check myself. I'm in over my head. But I think what I gravitate towards so much is we think he's talking about football, but almost everything he says is applicable to life. Whether it's being a better coworker or a better husband or a better dad or a better teammate. It's like he's just like speaking positivity into life. Like stay in the moment. Stay in the moment isn't just forget the 2nd and 12, get to the 3rd and 6, or forget the ball on the carpet, be where my feet are. It's, hey man, like I know I have to do this and this and this and this today. Get the first thing done, then get the second thing done, then get the third thing. Like all that stuff is so applicable. It's easy to rally around, so you know right where he is emotionally.
Well, and I think this is, not to get too psychological, but this is all important stuff.
But it's way more important than the physical, so I'm right there with you. Because this team is physically good enough to win. Let's see where they are emotionally.
And what's the question that everybody's been asking since the last time Nebraska was good at football? Can they handle the success?
Yeah.
What happens when? Oh, no, is this happening? This is all mental. And if it's things we're wondering as analysts or fans or producers or whoever else, the kids are human. The players are wondering the exact same thing. So all this, the psychology in it, the things that we're talking about that we haven't talked about form tackling. We haven't talked about executing throws outside the hash marks. We haven't talked about everything that we've talked about so far today. Is mental. Yeah. And I feel like sooner or later that's going to answer the questions that we all have of, okay, say we throw a pick in the fourth quarter or we fumble a ball in the fourth quarter. Instead of wondering, well, is this it? Is this how that happens today? It's everybody wearing pads in that day and in between the white lines is equipped to handle that
Pit
moment.
it against our checklist. Right? It's like, how does this line up with our pillars that we talked about? What are my three? You know what I mean? It's just like, I love it. It's how I like to think. It's how I like to coach. It's kind of how I like to live. The abstract leads to confusion. I like direct. I like accountability, and I like for everybody to kind of be on the same page, because then you leave it up to the individual whether it's something you can handle or not.
You asked me a question on your show a few months ago, and it's something that never really left my brain, and I think it's the next step in all this. Is I believe the question was, can we allow ourselves to feed the snowball when things start going right?
Yeah.
What's the appropriate response to that? Because we've gotten little bits of the cookie, but we haven't really taken a full bite and eaten it yet. Like, what happens when things positively start to manifest?
And it's changed how we swallow, right? Now we only take baby bites instead of just eating how we would normally eat because we're afraid to take it all in.
We're going away with this metaphor. Like, this has gone on.
I mean, but it causes consternation amongst even friends and peer groups. It's like,
you don't want to say it out loud.
You don't. Yeah, you're afraid. And so, but believe me, I think that's why they've talked so openly about conquering this fear around this football team, because I think they want the fans to move on from it too, not the whole doom and gloom. Like, you got to get to the point where an onside kick or losing at Colorado or getting blown out in the second half tanks your season, right? Like, those kinds of things have to stop happening, but it starts with your mind. Doesn't have anything to do with your physical talent. Stop throwing in the towel and embrace the good. It's a real thing.
The other thing that's kind of put a bow on this entire preseason conversation here that's amazing to me is we're around it every day. Fans are around it every day. They hear it. They can sense things are going in the right direction. But, DB, are you surprised at all at how quick outsiders have adopted Nebraska this year? Like, pretty much everybody you talk to, every magazine you read,
it was that branding world tour. I mean, where wasn't Coach Rule lobbying for the University of Nebraska around the country? Like, and I'm just telling you, it's hard to spend time around him and not want to be better. You know what I mean? Whether you're McAfee, whether you're Joel Klatt, whether you're, this interview with NBC News, whether you're Greg Sharp, whether you're us, like, you spend any sort of time around him, and the mission is clear, the agenda is clear, and it's like, you know what? Probably more out there I ought to be doing. Right? Like, that's just how you feel it. It's infectious, and he's doing it under the Nebraska brand.
How does that, everything that we've talked about, bleed into the last, let's call it 72 hours with his football team?
Well, I tell you,
getting ready for today.
So it starts with his leaders on both sides of the ball. So you're talking about guys like Bryce Benhart and Dylan Raiola and Luke Gifford and John Bullock and my favorite, Jamari Butler. Those guys that have his handprints, his fingerprints all over them, you turn it over to those guys and you're like, hey, listen, you know what I said about you 1-5, about that poise and your presence and no moment being too big for you, being fearless? Hey, go do that today. Hey, go win Wednesday's practice. Hey, go win Thursday's practice. Hey, Jamari, are you better yesterday in that situational third down package than when we went over Wednesday when we didn't get lined up to that 2x2, right? Go attack. So when you start to do those kinds of things and it bleeds within your team from station to station and group work to group work, that's what the last 72 hours mean about being, when you speak life, when you just breathe life into that football team, your leaders start to take that over, right? We'll hear from Deshun Singleton, and I'm sure you're going to hear something about some sort of belief factor and what it means to be with this staff. It's just who Singleton is, and I can't wait to hear it.
So we've spent the last close to exactly 40 minutes now talking about everything previous to what's today. I think that's what burns the excitement so much, to see what Nebraska does today. And not only today, but we all know what's ahead next week and the games beyond. I think that's what's helped kind of like I mentioned right out of the chute, the fire in the belly, walking into the stadium. There's always something that you latch onto. To me, that was it. It was, okay, what does this look like now? There's been a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, a lot of big picture, a lot of psychology, a lot of moving parts to what this looks like for week one. But to me, that's what breeds all the excitement.
It's where everybody's excited. Let's line it up and go play it.
We are going to. We are, 2.5 hours away from teeing this thing up and seeing what this version of the 2024 Huskers look like. Hey, the Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Traffic picking in and around Memorial Stadium, a lot of foot traffic that is. I would imagine the streets are the same way. Let's get our first check of our traffic with Trooper Brett.
Traffic is already building heading into the Capitol today ahead of our matchup against the UTEP Miners. If you're coming into Lincoln from the east and looking to cut down on delays, Highway 6 is an option at the Waverly exit. You can also exit at 27th Street to avoid congestion on I-180. There are disabled vehicles at mile marker 412 and 419 on I-80 westbound and another 385 on I-80 eastbound. These vehicles are causing slight delays, so please be mindful of slowdowns in the area. If you're coming in from the west, consider taking Highway 77 southbound to Rose Parks Way. Husker fans, applications are now open to become a Nebraska State Trooper. From game day to every day, become a state trooper and help patrol the good life. I'm Trooper Brett with the Nebraska State Patrol Traffic Report on the Huskers Radio Network.
You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
To be a part of Nebraska medicine
Hi, welcome.
is to be a part of something extraordinary.
Nebraska Medicine, how may I help you?
Because these are the doors that open doors.
How are you?
To growth and opportunity for each other and for our community.
That went really well.
For those who know that the academic experience,
You know what? I agree.
the life experience that you get here is beyond what you can get anywhere else. And that's exactly why here is where you belong. Join us at nebraskamed.com/careers. Nebraska Medicine. Together, extraordinary.
This is Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac. You're listening to Big Red Football.
If you've been looking for a reason to fill up your car with unleaded 88, how about this? Unleaded 88
can help you save big at the pump.
And save the planet by cutting greenhouse gas emissions.
Any car 2001 or newer is approved to use unleaded 88. Speaking of good, it's made from corn, which is great for farmers.
As I was saying, if you need a reason to choose unleaded 88, there you have them. Unleaded 88. Engine smart, earth kind. Visit chooseunleaded88.com to learn more.
Set, hike. When champions take the field, they come ready to play. TNL Irrigation understands the value of momentum. Like a Husker drive, there's no stopping. If you live for farming and football like we do, TNL Irrigation has you covered. Check your fields from the game with a remote system, or just enjoy the play knowing our systems are reliable as a sold-out Memorial Stadium. Touchdown! Nebraska born, Nebraska strong. Husker Nation and TNL Irrigation are like no other.
In the heartland, where ambition thrives, there are those who are made and those who are made for more. Just like the Huskers on game day, Kloss, a leading producer of ag equipment, unleashes the power of ambition in the field. Discover why our cutting-edge machinery and unwavering support aren't just a promise, they're a commitment to your success. Because at Kloss, we know you are made for more. Visit your Kloss dealer or CLAAS.com.
Bringing almost 80 years of wealth management experience, Bridges Trust understands the value of tradition and legacy. They've built their reputation by helping clients achieve their objectives by providing services in investment management, trust and estate planning, philanthropic consulting, and family office services. Committed to offering build-to-suit and specialized wealth advisory services, Bridges Trust prioritizes their clients' best interests to support the growth and preservation of legacies for future generations. Bridges Trust. Trust for generations.
Here in Nebraska, we love our teachers. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska is teaming up with Husker Athletics to recognize teachers who help students live their best and healthiest lives. Visit huskers.com/touchdown for teachers today to tell us about your favorite Nebraska educator. Winning teachers get a school day visit from Herbie Husker and a VIP experience at the 2025 Husker football spring game, thanks to their biggest fans at Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska. Head to huskers.com/touchdown for teachers today.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles, or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
Welcome into our very first Cornhusker conversation of the 2024 season ahead of the opener against UTEP. I'm Jessica Cootie, and we're kicking things off with one of the guys that received a black shirt this week. Also wears a single-digit senior safety, Deshun Singleton. Thank you so much for joining us this week.
I'm happy to be here.
It's game week. How does it feel to be actually, hey, Saturday we're kicking this off?
Man, I'm excited. You know, it's been a long, journey for me from last year to now, and I'm just ready to play again.
You took on a huge role last season and were really playing really well for this defense before you had the injury. How do you feel going into this season? How health-wise, but then also confidence-wise, knowing what you were able to establish?
Man, I feel very confident in my ability this year. Going through rehab, Coach Hobbs had put me through some modified stuff, and he prepared me for this moment now. And I'm just so confident, and I feel like I'm stronger than last year, and I'm more prepared than last year. So.
What about, too, just knowing this defense and what you guys are capable of and just that understanding of what Coach White wants you guys to do? How good is that, too, and how much different is that going into the season compared to last year? Just, again, knowing what your role is and all of that.
Going into year two, I feel like it's better for us now because we're used to it, and I feel like we're more vets and we adapted to the defense. Last year, we were going into it. It was a new defense for us, you know what I'm saying? We didn't really know much about Coach White, but now it's like, we're just molded into it now, and we're more prepared. So, yeah.
What did you guys learn just throughout the course of last season, and how successful you guys were as a group? That this is what it takes to be a good defense. What were some of those principles that you thought, okay, we're buying into this, we believe in it, this works?
We just gotta play like there's no scoreboard. So we just gotta play to our standard, and that's what the defense got last year. That's how we was able to be a great defense. And it was just like, just forget about the scoreboard and play to the standard every day. Be physical, you know what I'm saying? Play fast, and whatever's on tape, the tape gonna be the tape. So you want to show good things on tape.
What kind of conversations did you guys have, the defensive leaders about what the goals were going into this season and how you wanted to be even better from last season?
The goals going into this season as a defense is to create turnovers. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, that's value. So, obviously we're going to get the stops. We're confident in our abilities, but, our plan is to just take the ball away now. So,
if you look at the back end of this defense, a lot of names that have been around and played a lot of football together, what does that do when you've got guys like Malcolm Hartzog and Marquise Buford, Tommy Hill's been here, just that you guys have all played together so much and been through so much together here in Nebraska?
Man, we just want to push each other to be great. Like me and Tommy was arguing today on the field, and we always argue, but at the end of the day, that's my brother, and we want to just push each other to our best ability. And, playing with Giff, playing with Keith, playing with Malcolm, You know, we all treat each other like family, so we're going to hold each other accountable. So whatever it is, he going to get on me and I'm going to get on him. So.
What does that do for a team when you are able to do that, when you have those kinds of relationships that you can challenge each other and hold each other to a higher standard?
Man, it means a lot. I mean, it just lets you know that we just trying to get better at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? We got goals, and the only way we accomplish them is we hold each other accountable to that, you know, hold ourselves to the standard.
So you were one of the guys that got voted on last year to have a single digit wearing number 8, and it was the first year with Coach Roll doing it. What did that mean to you, to be selected by your teammates to wear one of those single digits?
It meant a lot, you know, as like usually other schools, you know, they just give you a single digit, and, you know, it just was a testament to my work that I put in, and, you know, I left a mark to other people. I feel like my team trusted me with that single digit, and, you know, it meant a lot to me because they chose me, and, you know, so I'm just proud of it, and I'm going to represent it well.
What went into that for you, that process to be able to be that guy that they saw that in you, that they wanted to select you to wear that single digit?
I didn't, at first when I got it, well, before, I didn't know how to get it, you know what I'm saying? I was just throwing it in the air like, man, I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to do the right thing all the time. And, you know, I'm going to play to my best ability. I'm going to give it my all every day, you know, and it just showed, and my teammates noticed it, and, you know, they gifted me with that. So, I mean, it just mean the world to me when I carry that single digit, you know, and I just feel like I can't let my team down, you know, so, yeah.
Also this week, black shirts were handed out again, and people are very aware of the tradition of, you know, getting that black shirt. What does that mean to you to be a part of that and that history and tradition here at Nebraska?
Being a part of it, it just, it brings me joy, you know. Last year I got my black shirt, got hurt, and just being able to come back from injury and earning a black shirt, that just means the world to me, and I understand the history behind it. It's a tradition, it's a culture, and, you know, when you have that black shirt, you representing the people that played before you, and you just got to represent that well. Just like the single digit, you got to represent it. So, I mean, you got to hold the standard and, you know, play at your best.
It's great stuff. Well, part of what we like to do in this Cornhusker conversation is get to know you a little bit and your backstory. You're from Louisiana, but it wasn't an easy journey for you to get here. Take me back to high school, and when you were your senior year, the recruiting process wasn't easy for you. Where were you at the end of your high school journey, and how, I guess, scary was it? How discouraging was it at the time?
It wasn't really discouraging to me. I mean, I went to a small high school, a little two-way school, public school down in South Louisiana. Really how my recruiting process was, going into the season, I really wasn't getting no looks. I was getting interest, but I wasn't getting no looks. And like by the last game of the season, I mean, I didn't have anything, you know. And at that time, I was playing basketball, and I was just thinking about getting a job. Like I applied for Wendy's, you know. So I was like, I was ready to start my life, you know what I'm saying, after high school. And then an old friend of mine called me and told me to come to JUCO, and then Coach Mo, the DB coach, they hit me up, and they was like, I mean, you can come on a visit, but I wasn't able to go on a visit. So it was like I just committed on the spot and drove up there, and I started that. And as for going into JUCO, I just had to come in the mindset of, well, I got nothing to lose, you know? So I went in there, did everything I could, and my goal was to get out in 6 months. And at the end of the day, that's what I did. It was hard. I mean, it was a grind for me. Every game, I had to go in there and don't know what's going to happen. And I finally got my first offer. And then after that, it started rolling in, and then I ended up here in Nebraska. So,
what made you believe in yourself during that time? That, you know, it's not an easy journey to take, but what kept you? What was behind the drive and kept you motivated during that time?
What kept me motivated was my mom. She told me, you can't quit now because you ain't got nothing to go back to. You know what I'm saying? Going back to Greensboro, Louisiana, it's nothing to go back to. I mean, she told me to stay far away from home as you can, and that's what motivated me. I mean, obviously they had the hurricanes and stuff come through, so I mean, I had nowhere else to go, so I had to just stay, and that's what I did, and just it was just self-motivation as well. I wanted better for myself. I wanted better for my brother. I wanted him to see me and say he could do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's what motivated me as well.
What did you learn about yourself battling through that? Because I mean, again, it's not an easy journey. But what did you learn about yourself as a person and as a player?
That you can define anything. So I feel like any trial I go through, I'm able to push through it, regardless of what it is, how hard it is, how easy it is. I mean, I feel like anything is possible. So just whatever you start, you finish it. That's what all I live about. Whatever you start, Sean, finish it, and that's what I live about.
Was there ever a point that you doubted that you could play at this level, or was it more so just getting seen and getting the opportunity?
I mean, of course it's doubt. I mean, it was a point where I was like, dang, can I really play at this level? But at the end of the day, I knew what I can do, and I trusted my abilities, and I came in with full confidence that, I'm at the same level as you all, probably better, but, I just had to come in and have that confidence within myself.
How much appreciation do you have then to be able to walk out on this field on Saturdays, just what you had to fight through to get here, and then, not just that, but then the injury and just, I imagine you got a tremendous amount of appreciation for this game.
Yeah, I learned to never take anything for granted, because I came from really nothing to now here. And, I've seen the good and the bad. I lived in dorms. Missing dinner, ain't able to eat at the JUCO. So it's like, now we got the great facilities, we got everything we need, and I'm just like, I'm grateful for it all, because it can all be taken away from me at any point in time, and I just got to be grateful for it. So
that 18-year-old Deshun, what would he have said if he would have known what you would be doing now? You'd be a single digit in a black shirt and a starter on this Nebraska defense and playing such a big role.
He would have said, "You lying. You ain't telling the truth." You know what I'm saying? But I always had faith in myself. Like I always had dreams of playing D1. I always had dreams of playing NFL. So, you know what I'm saying? Regardless of what path I was gonna take, I just felt like I knew I was gonna get there. So yeah.
What example do you hope to set? You talked about being an example for your brother, but for those kids in Louisiana, those kids that don't get recruited, that they can see your journey, what do you hope they learn from your story?
Man, they could do the same thing. That's all I just want to create a positive role model to them, and I just want to feel like I came from the same place you came from, and you know what I'm saying, you could do it, and that's what I want to set,
So when you land on Nebraska the first time, and it's a different coaching staff, then you go through the coaching changes, and in this day and age, transfer portal is so prominent in college football. What made you believe in this staff and the direction of Coach Rule, that he was going to take this program, that you wanted to stick it out with this coaching staff?
Once he came in, I immediately knew I wanted to stay. You know what I'm saying? He created, he came in with a different type of culture, a different type of vibe to him, and I immediately latched on to that. And, it was what I lived by. So once he came in, I was already bought into it. And, as far as that, I was prepared. I wasn't scared to go into the fight. I wasn't scared about a new coach or anything, because whatever it is going to be what it's going to be. You know what I'm saying? So.
We had an interview back in fall camp, and it was a great story that I'd love for you to tell again. But we were talking about your physicality. That's one thing that jumps out about you, and that you're not afraid to hit. You're not afraid to be physical back there playing safety. Where did that start? Where did that come from for you?
It just came from my dad. It was the first time playing football. He brought me out there, and the first drill was Oklahoma drill. And so when I went with this boy named Corey, he was one of my closest friends now, he hit the living mess out of me. I was crying on the ground. My dad took me. He said, if you want to quit now, we could leave. You go home. And I told him I don't want to go home. And he said, well, you got to go again. Do the same thing to him what he did to you. And I went and did the same thing to him, and after that, I just have that same mindset now. Like, I'm going to put you on your butt before you put me on mine. I don't like that, so yeah.
Oh, that's great. What is it about the physicality, that part of it that you've embraced, that you enjoy bringing to a football team?
I just feel like it gets a different type of emotions with everybody. You make a big hit, I mean, that can change the momentum of a game. And I feel like if you're not physical on the field, you can't play football, to me. So bringing physicality is a part of it. And if you love this game, you love to be physical, you know, so yeah.
Absolutely. You're just going into this season, your senior season, and everything that you went through and everything that we've talked about, being a leader in this defense. How do you approach this season, and what are you trying to provide and bring to this defense, and I guess some of the goals that you're looking to achieve this season?
I'm approaching this season as if it's going to be my last game every game. And that's how I want to play. Like, it's going to be my last snap every snap, you know, because it get took from me. Like I said, it was my last snap. And I want to bring the best for my team, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to let my team down. So that's how I'm approaching the season. And, you know, hopefully we could play 17 games, you know? So, but yeah, that's my goal for this year.
Circling back to this game and this matchup against UTEP, we've heard Coach Roll say it's going to be a challenge offensively. They throw a lot of different things at you. What are the keys for this defense? What are you guys trying to, what tone are you trying to set here in week one?
Man, we just got to be physical, and we got to have great eyes. And I feel like if we do that, we'll come out on top. Just have great eyes, be disciplined, and be physical. So.
How excited are you to be able to play the first game in Memorial Stadium?
Man, I'm so excited. It's going to be, I feel like this is my very first game ever playing. So, I mean, I'm just really excited, and I just can't wait to play. So.
Great stuff. Appreciate your time. Best of luck as you guys kick it off on Saturday.
Thank you.
Thanks again to Deshun Singleton for sitting down with us for this week's Corn Husker Conversation presented by Woodhouse. Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics.
You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
Hey, son, can you hand me that vice grip? As any farmer or rancher knows, having the right tools in the toolbox is important. That goes for your ag lending as well. If you're considering expansion, restructuring debt, or purchasing equipment, call Dakota Mac. We have a toolbox full of lending solutions to help you with your ag financing needs.
Hi, it's Nick Luxinger from Dakota Mac in Columbus, Nebraska. Call me at 402-740-6445 for all your ag financing needs.
In the heartland, where ambition thrives, there are those who are made and those who are made for more. Just like the Huskers on game day, Kloss, a leading producer of ag equipment, unleashes the power of ambition in the field. Discover why our cutting-edge machinery and unwavering support aren't just a promise, they're a commitment to your success. Because at Kloss, we know you are made for more. Visit your Kloss dealer or CLAAS.com.
This is Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac. You're listening to Big Red Football.
Tackle the toughest tasks on your farm with Brand Agricultural Products. They've got a complete lineup of grain handling and tillage equipment to take you from the preseason all the way to the playoffs or harvest. All their ag equipment is North American built and backed by an extensive network of dealerships that provide support over the long run. Lead the field with Brand Agricultural Products. Visit brand.ca for more.
Set, hike. When champions take the field, they come ready to play. TNL Irrigation understands the value of momentum. Like a Husker drive, there's no stopping. If you live for farming and football like we do, TNL Irrigation has you covered. Check your fields from the game with a remote system, or just enjoy the play knowing our systems are reliable as a sold-out Memorial Stadium. Touchdown! Nebraska born, Nebraska strong. Husker Nation and TNL Irrigation are like no other.
If you've been looking for a reason to fill up your car with unleaded 88, how about this? Unleaded 88
can help you save big at the pump.
And save the planet by cutting greenhouse gas emissions.
Any car 2001 or newer is approved to use unleaded 88. Speaking of good, it's made from corn, which is great for farmers.
As I was saying, if you need a reason to choose unleaded 88, there you have them. Unleaded 88. Engine smart, earth kind. Visit chooseunleaded88.com to learn more.
To be a part of Nebraska medicine.
Hi, welcome.
Is to be a part of something extraordinary.
Nebraska medicine, how may I help you?
Because these are the doors that open doors.
How are you?
To growth and opportunity for each other and for our community.
That went really well.
For those who know that the academic experience.
You know what? I agree.
The life experience that you get here is beyond what you can get anywhere else. And that's exactly why here is where you belong. Join us at nebraskamed.com/careers. Nebraska Medicine. Together, extraordinary.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey, son, can you hand me that vice grip? As any farmer or rancher knows, having the right tools in the toolbox is important. That goes for your ag lending as well. If you're considering expansion, restructuring debt, or purchasing equipment, call Dakota Mac. We have a toolbox full of lending solutions to help you with your ag financing needs.
Hi, it's Nick Luxinger from Dakota Mac in Columbus, Nebraska. Call me at 402-740-6445 for all your ag financing needs.
You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
Matt Coatney back with you on our Dakota Mac Husker Game Day show. Time now for a Nebraska Lottery scoreboard update from the Akrs Broadcast Center. All 18 Big Ten teams, yes, I said 18 Big Ten teams, are playing conference games on this opening weekend of college football. Last night, Florida Atlantic at Michigan State in the Jonathan Smith era opened sloppy, but ultimately victorious. In his first collegiate start, Spartan quarterback Aiden Childs was only 10 of 24 with 114 yards and 2 touchdowns, but it was enough to beat the Owls 16-10. In Camp Randall Stadium in Madison last night, the Broncos put a scare into the Badgers, but Luke Fickell's team rallied in the fourth quarter behind their new quarterback, a transfer from Miami.
3 receivers left, 2 on the right. Broncos late getting a sub in there, but they're all set. Van Dyke looking to throw, and he'll pull it down. Van Dyke to the 5, cutting left. Van Dyke dives to the goal line. Touchdown, Wisconsin. Tyler Van Dyke scrambles home from 6 yards away, and it's 27-14, Wisconsin.
That's Matt LePay on Badgers Radio from Learfield. Van Dyke completed 21 of 36 for 192 yards. He had 8 carries for 21 yards in his Wisconsin debut. He also lost a fumble, but the Badgers rallied late to defeat a stubborn Western Michigan team 28-14. There are some games already underway. We're about half an hour into the early slate of games. Number 8, Penn State at West Virginia. Did you know ESPN ranks this as the most expensive ticket of all the Week 1 games at an average of $239. They're late in the first quarter. No score there. There are 59 FCS teams taking on FBS teams this weekend, including Illinois State at number 25 Iowa. Hawkeyes coach Kirk Ferentz and wide receivers coach John Budmayer are suspended for this game due to a recruiting violation. It's the first Hawkeye game not coached by Hayden Fry or Kirk Ferentz since 1978. Drew Stevens has got the Hawks on the board early on with a 41-yard field goal, 3-0 Iowa. They're late in the first quarter against the Redbirds of Illinois State. UConn at Maryland, and the Terps got on the board early on an 18-yard scoring strike from Billy Edwards Jr. to Ty Felton. Then Nolan Ray took a 48-yard run to the house for a touchdown on his first carry of the season to make it 14-0 Maryland. That's where they stand with 4 minutes remaining in the first half. They've already went to the second quarter in West Lafayette, Indiana. and they're taking on Indiana State. The FCS Sycamores haven't had a winning season since 2019. Tight end Max Clare got his first career touchdown on a 9-yard scoring strike from Huston Card. They're early in the second quarter. 7-0 Purdue leads Indiana State. Number 14 Clemson against top-ranked Georgia at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta in the Aflac kickoff game. No score, and they are late in the first quarter of play. Virginia Tech and Vanderbilt, the Commodores have an early 3-0 lead. They're nearing the end of the first quarter. Austin Peay is at Louisville. The Cardinals will have 7th-year player Tyler Shuck at quarterback. You may remember him from 3 seasons at Oregon and 3 at Texas Tech in an injury-riddled career. So far, 1 minute left in the first quarter, and Louisville leads the Governors 10-0. Pittsburgh is hosting Kent State today, and breaking news for the Panthers, their leading rusher from last season, Rodney Hammond Jr., has been ruled ineligible for the season for unspecified reasons. 6 minutes remaining in the first quarter, and Pitt leads the Golden Flashes 14-7. Bucknell, in a little bit of a surprise, leads at the Naval Academy 7-6. They are late in the first quarter of play. Coming up in about 6 minutes, Chattanooga at number 15, Tennessee. At the top of the hour, South Dakota State at number 17, Oklahoma State. 1:30 p.m. Central, Towson at Cincinnati, and the early games continue at 2 p.m. Central, Portland State at Washington State. And then at 2:30 p.m. Central, along with the Nebraska game, Akron's at number 2, Ohio State. Florida International at Indiana, Miami of Ohio at Northwestern at something they're calling Lanny and Sharon Martin Stadium, a.k.a. a practice field they've turned into a stadium in Evanston, Illinois. Colorado State's at number 4, Texas at 2:30, number 19, Miami at Florida. North Dakota at Iowa State, Ohio at Syracuse, and then a big slate of games later on tonight. I love the first weekend of college football because there are so many games. And then later tonight, second-ranked Husker volleyball will take on TCU at the Devaney Center at 7:30 p.m. Central. They swept Texas A&M Corpus Christi last night in the Emeritus Players Challenge. Our pre-match coverage begins here on the Huskers Radio Network at 6:30 p.m. with John Baylor and Lauren Cook West. Ben, that is a look at scores.
So good to have him back, Coach. Appreciate you as always. Thank you so much for your hard work on that. Hey, Nebraska fans, some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Visit allstate.com or call a local agent for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Welcome back to the Dakota Mac Husker Game Day Show. You're on the Huskers Radio Network. Huskers and UTEP headed for a 2:30 kick here on the Huskers Radio Network. Miners, first-year new head coach. We'll break them down in our next segment, but we welcome back in Nebraska color analyst Damon Benning. Damon, let's talk a little bit about defensive personnel, and let's just start first with the biggest change. They've got a new guy running things in the secondary, running things literally.
Yeah.
Coach Butler has a lot of energy.
Yeah, pretty no-nonsense, too. He is all business, and I love it. Super high football IQ, pays attention to detail. He loves teaching, and he's no-nonsense. And so I think sometimes when you get those, the further out you get away from the ball, like the DBs and the wide receivers, those guys can get a little squirrely. So you like a little tightening up of that room, and so far, man, Coach Butler has been spectacular.
Somebody asked me what he was like and what his coaching style was. I was like, okay, lock yourself in a bathroom, get a box of bouncy balls, and just throw them up everywhere. And that's a little bit what it's like.
And the topic's not going to deviate. You will be talking football. He is a football guy that loves football. So you may ask him what he had for dinner, and it'll somehow get back to football. You may ask him about his kiddos, and it will somehow get back to football. He's a super high IQ guy, and I love his intensity. Really no nonsense.
There's a lot of guys we could spend time talking about, but there's a reason why I'm going to bring this fella up first, because I'm super pumped about him this year. I thought he took massive strides last year, and I happen to know you feel the same way. So I'm just going to say a name, and I want to hear your response and what you hope to see and think you're going to see out of John Bullock.
Yeah, monster. He is my prime. That's funny you bring him up, boy. It is my prime candidate for breakout player. He's gifted physically. He's extremely smart, and he's now confident in this system in year 2. Number 5 could flourish if he stays healthy. Listen, he's not Throw out all the stereotypical words we use: sneaky, heady, all the nope. JB is a bona fide, tremendous athlete. Great broad jumper, twitchy, can go get a football. And I think for those guys, for Bear, potentially Thompson, maybe a young pup like Shavers, that inside spot is tough in this defense, right? Guards aren't covered a ton. You play in a 3 front. They have to be able to play at 45-degree angles. Bullock, I love his leadership. He's really, really smart. The guys like playing behind him, too. You know when you're getting hooked to curl, or you got to get hands on a 3 up the seam, or you have to fit in the run game and he's got to get the D-gap. Like, you can trust that JB will be there. I'm really looking forward to seeing him flourish this year.
There's a reason why I brought him up first, because, number one, the player. It's a great story. I mean, he's all-encompassing. There's a lot to love about him, but he's at a position that a lot of people are concerned about. Yeah. You lose what Nebraska did at linebacker. That's maybe the first area of concern that people would point to outside of maybe corner. But tell me if I'm wrong. Is middle linebacker the easiest position to take for granted?
It is.
I feel like everybody just wants to look at the pass rush or the big hitting safety.
So you know what it is, and you're dead on. We love the D-line. That's easy to see. And we love the secondary so they can just clean up their messes. I'm just telling you, if you're not good in the box and an odd front with those inside guys, it's a very, very tough position to play. And you know how I randomly like to adopt my new favorites. See, this year, B-Mac, you'll be glad to know. Last year, I was kind of on the Coop Sat hype train. I'm Team Dvorak this year, right? Tremendous teacher, constantly upgrading and developing. I love talking to him. He's very personable. He brought Bear along last year out of nowhere, hung in there with an unhealthy Nick Henrich. Reimer was trying to feel his way along, and we just took him for granted. He never had, the ideal starting pieces. You know what I mean? And so he was kind of overlooked, but I'm just telling you, he had Javen Wright ready to go and looking fantastic. Dvorak's a stud, and I'm looking forward to seeing those guys flourish inside under his tutelage.
We need to talk about the challenge in front of, I don't think it's a stretch to say, 2 unproven corners with Nebraska, with Tommy Hill and Marquise Buford. Yeah. We all know what's ahead next week, but today, they're going to be tested today.
Yeah, 100%. They're going to see really good players and athleticism and space. Right? When you bring back so here's the dirty little secret with JJ at running back, Javon. He's a 1,300-yard rusher. So when you spread people out and you play with that kind of tempo and you can run the football, it puts a lot of pressure on your perimeter defenders. Because not only do you have to get lined up in cover, you have to win on the outside in run defense too. So it takes a toll. It's exactly how people want to see Nebraska play next week with who they've got in their secondary.
Yes.
Right? So you'll see that this week. And you're right. There's a lot of pressure. I get the preseason draft grades and all the love and T. Hill. And you don't just want to be the best corner on your team. You want to be an elite corner in the conference. And we have yet to see Tommy Hill perform at that level. He had a guy that just got re-signed to the practice squad in Denver in Q opposite him a year ago. We'll see how Tommy Hill embraces the challenge, because he is of the utmost importance this year.
And it sounds like he's done all the things necessary to be that.
Yeah. Fantastic guy. During this recruiting process, he was used a lot as the comp in terms of body type and doing the deck scan and, just talking to Kristen Coggins. And, it's like Tommy played at sometimes in the high 170s, low 180s. Last year in terms of his weight, and he's right around the 200-pound mark. He's still moving really well. He's met all his weight goals in the offseason. I think he can maintain, and if he stays healthy, we know he's uber talented, right? You just don't cross over and play offense a couple of years ago and get out of bed and be able to do that, right? So we know he's gifted, but now I think he's fallen in love with the process. And now the process gets a chance to play out.
And because of that, has real potential with his athleticism and everything he did off the field to turn in one of the better Husker stories.
Well, he's going to get every opportunity.
Yeah.
So they will be tested today, and it will be part of it. Get lined up and control your guys on the back end.
No question. Call a timeout if you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis. The 988 Suicide in Crisis Lifeline is there. Call or text chat 988. It's free, it's confidential, and staff with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. We'll step aside. When we come back, we'll break down today's opponent, the UTEP Miners. That's coming up next.
You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
Bringing almost 80 years of wealth management experience, Bridges Trust understands the value of tradition and legacy. They've built their reputation by helping clients achieve their objectives by providing services in investment management, trust and estate planning, philanthropic consulting, and family office services. Committed to offering build-to-suit and specialized wealth advisory services, Bridges Trust prioritizes their clients' best interests to support the growth and preservation of legacies for future generations. Bridges Trust. Trust for generations.
Here in Nebraska, we love our teachers. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska is teaming up with Husker Athletics to recognize teachers who help students live their best and healthiest lives. Visit huskers.com/touchdown for teachers today to tell us about your favorite Nebraska educator. Winning teachers get a school day visit from Herbie Husker and a VIP experience at the 2025 Husker football spring game, thanks to their biggest fans at Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska. Head to huskers.com/touchdown for teachers today.
Preparation is the key to success on game day. And like your favorite Huskers on the field, you need to be ready right from the opening kickoff. Cenex has your pregame routine covered. We've got your salty snacks, your sweet treats, ice-cold beverages to wash them down, and fresh tanks of propane to fire up the grill. Fuel your fandom at your local Cenex station. Husker Pride, powered locally.
Tackle the toughest tasks on your farm with Brand Agricultural Products. They've got a complete lineup of grain handling and tillage equipment to take you from the preseason all the way to the playoffs or harvest. All their ag equipment is North American built and backed by an extensive network of dealerships that provide support over the long run. Lead the field with Brand Agricultural Products. Visit Brand.ca for more.
This is Big Red Football.
In the heartland, where ambition thrives, there are those who are made and those who are made for more. Just like the Huskers on game day, Kloss, a leading producer of ag equipment, unleashes the power of ambition in the field. Discover why our cutting-edge machinery and unwavering support aren't just a promise, they're a commitment to your success. Because at Kloss, we know you are made for more. Visit your Kloss dealer or CLAAS.com.
Here in Nebraska, we love our teachers. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska is teaming up with Husker Athletics to recognize teachers who help students live their best and healthiest lives. Visit huskers.com/touchdown for teachers today to tell us about your favorite Nebraska educator. Winning teachers get a school day visit from Herbie Husker and a VIP experience at the 2025 Husker football spring game, thanks to their biggest fans at Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska. Head to huskers.com/touchdown for teachers today.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
Tackle the toughest tasks on your farm with Brand Agricultural Products. They've got a complete lineup of grain handling and tillage equipment to take you from the preseason all the way to the playoffs or harvest. All their ag equipment is North American built and backed by an extensive network of dealerships that provide support over the long run. Lead the field with Brand Agricultural Products. Visit Brand.ca for more.
Set, hike, When champions take the field, they come ready to play. TNL Irrigation understands the value of momentum. Like a Husker drive, there's no stopping. If you live for farming and football like we do, TNL Irrigation has you covered. Check your fields from the game with a remote system, or just enjoy the play knowing our systems are reliable as a sold-out Memorial Stadium. Touchdown! Nebraska born, Nebraska strong. Husker Nation and TNL Irrigation are like no other.
Bringing almost 80 years of wealth management experience, Bridges Trust understands the value of tradition and legacy. They've built their reputation by helping clients achieve their objectives by providing services in investment management, trust and estate planning, philanthropic consulting, and family office services. Committed to offering build-to-suit and specialized wealth advisory services, Bridges Trust prioritizes their clients' best interests to support the growth and preservation of legacies for future generations. Bridges Trust. Trust for generations.
Let's pause 15 seconds for station identification on the Huskers Radio Network. You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
The UTEP Miners are coming off a 3-9 season last year in which they allowed over 28 points per game. However, new head coach Scotty Walden looks to turn the program around in his first season at the helm for the Miners. Walden spent 4 seasons leading Austin Peay University, a school where he saw a ton of success. This past year, he led the Governors to 9 wins and a top 20 ranking in the FCS national ranking. After leading his old squad to its first undefeated conference season in school history, the Texas native will look to help the Miners pull off a season-opening victory over the Huskers. There are quite a few new names for this UTEP program that are expected to make an impact. This concept is seen the best at the quarterback position, which has been a battle all offseason, according to Walden.
I want to start out with the elephant in the room, the quarterback battle, right? Everybody, I know I'm going to get asked questions on that. I just want to give an update on that. We are going to make a decision on that. I'll probably looking to make a decision on that probably Wednesday or Thursday this week. Those 2 guys, Skylar Locklear and Cade McConnell, have been unbelievable. And it has been literally a back and forth battle. I know I've gotten question after question on it. You go through and you look at those guys' completion rate, you look at their touchdown drives, you look at everything. It is so amazing how even it is.
Cade McConnell, the redshirt junior from Long Beach, California, returns to the Miners after he was the main signal caller a year ago. He threw for 6 touchdowns with 4 interceptions and has had to battle it out with transfer quarterback Skylar Locklear.
McConnell sprinting out to his right, throws on the run, good play. Sneaking away is Akari Kelly. McConnell.
The former Austin Peay quarterback followed Coach Walden to UTEP, but did not earn the job from the start. The Clayton, North Carolina redshirt sophomore has only attempted 7 total passes in live game action in his career thus far, with 1 touchdown and no picks. As an undersized quarterback, Locklear presents a slightly different type of player that the Blackshirts will have to deal with other than McConnell. Regardless of who ends up getting the majority of snaps behind center this year for the Miners, there will be a new set of skill position players doing their best to make the quarterback's job easier. Trey Goodman, Jaden Smith, and Javon Jackson will be expected to carry the load offensively. Goodman comes from Austin Peay as well, where he started all 12 games a season ago. The senior from Atlanta led the Governors with 7 receiving touchdowns and over 21 yards per catch. His impact could be seen right away against the Huskers this afternoon. Smith is a transfer from Eastern Kentucky and played in 34 games for them over the past 3 years. The 5'10" senior has amassed over 1,900 career yards with 14 touchdowns. 5 of those scores came last year, and he even put together arguably his best game against Coach Walden in Austin Peay, where Smith collected 130 yards on 11 catches. At the running back position, Javon Jackson is another name from Austin Peay that followed their coach to the Miners. In 3 seasons at Austin Peay, Jackson was able to put together a fantastic career. The Alabama native earned a 2023 FCS second-team All-American nod for his great 2023 campaign. With over 1,300 yards on the ground and 10 rushing touchdowns in 12 appearances, Jackson will look to build on this hugely productive season starting today at Nebraska.
Try to answer that Mox score. Another delayed handoff, and he stays up. Jackson explodes again. Oh, he's still going. Unbelievable. He will get all of it.
Javon Jackson going beast mode, waking up this crowd in Clarksville. What a run.
Defensively, one name to look out for is Maurice Westmoreland. The first-team All-Conference USA member from a year ago has a legitimate chance to see some action at the next level. He led UTEP with 7.5 sacks last season and was top 5 in the conference with 10.5 tackles for loss last year. The Huskers gave up 30 sacks in 2023, which was the 4th most in the Big Ten. It will be a key factor in this game of whether or not Westmoreland is able to get in the backfield and disrupt the Husker debut of Dylan Raiola. Another defender that Coach Walden has praised recently was Sione Tungawiha. The returning interior defensive lineman has established himself as a leader of the defense, according to the head coach.
We presented the first annual, we call it the Trench Warrior Award here at UTEP for the Orange Swarm to Sione Tungawiha, who is a senior from the state of Arizona, who will be wearing, and it'll be good for you guys to know, he was wearing number 99. He will now be wearing number 3. He is an amazing young man. Since our staff has gotten here, he has been totally bought into our culture, and he has been an amazing leader in our program and in our locker room. And he's been physical as all get out and sets the standard for what we want to do on the D-line. We want to build this program contrary to popular belief. I know we talk about the offensive playing fast and stuff like that, but we want to build this program inside out.
UTEP's defense gave up the 3rd most points per game in Conference USA last season, but were great against the pass. The Miners allowed less than 200 yards per game through the air. However, even with this strong pass defense in the secondary, Coach Walden went on to talk about the challenges that Raiola presents for the Orange Swarm.
Yeah, I don't think we made too much of it, other than the fact that he's a heck of a player. He might be a freshman, but he's one of the most talented freshmen I've seen. He was ranked one of the top quarterbacks, if not number 1, number 2 in the nation, coming out of high school for a reason. This guy throws an elite deep ball. Obviously, being a freshman quarterback, that's always, as a coach, you put a freshman out there, there's always going to be some type of learning curve, I'm sure, within their system. They're going to have to, iron out with him and stuff like that. But this guy, to me, everything I've read about him, everything I've seen about him, everything I've studied on him, he looks like a student of the game, somebody that respects the game, and I cling to guys like that and respect people like that, and he respects the game and studies it, and he's going to be prepared, and he's as talented as any quarterback. We'll play all year.
This will be the first time that Nebraska and UTEP have ever matched up against each other in college football. Coach Walden will lead the Miners into Lincoln for his first game as the UTEP head coach and has a chance to start his legacy off with a massive road win today. However, Coach Rule has the Huskers motivated to put it all together right away and is not going to shy away from putting their foot on the gas. It should be a fun one in Lincoln to begin the 2024 campaign for Nebraska. Reporting for the Huskers Radio Network, I'm Jacob Schranz.
Appreciate that, Jacob. Appreciate the hard work on our breakdown of today's opponent, the UTEP Miners. DB, first-year head coach. I love that in their game notes they put his age.
Yeah,
it dated me. I'm older than he is. For the first time ever, I'm like, oh, God, what am I doing with my life?
How do these guys get these jobs? Mid-30s. What is he? He's 34, right?
Yeah.
And that's incredible. But he's bringing some juice, right? His energy has been off the charts. I think UTEP is ecstatic. He's been the shot in the arm. And, I like his staff. I think, with J.J. Clark, his DC, they're going to try to get after Nebraska if they can. I just kind of like their energy. We'll see what happens, though, here in a couple hours.
They did this thing in the past where, older guys, more experienced head coaches, they went the complete opposite with this route to try and pump some life into that program. He brings 11 Austin Peay players from the FCS run that they had last year with him over to UTEP. When you start to look at some of the personnel, kind of flashy, this day and age of college football, You mentioned the running back a little bit earlier, 1,300 yards. Small guy, but packs a punch.
Yeah,
and
over 230 carries for JJ last year, so he can tote the mail. They're great in the punt return game. So this one's be quick to see how quickly they can get to their space and pace.
The UTEP mantra is offensively, anyhow, is that, you said space and pace, great way to put it, but they're going to run some trick plays. They've got some things up their sleeve. It kind of fits how Coach Walden wants this thing to go, right? He wants to make it fun. He wants to do some different dynamic things. It's going to be no shortage of things to prepare for today for Tony White.
Yeah, and I mean, it's been kind of a hodgepodge, right? Occasionally you're checking Austin P, you're trying to get tendencies. You're like, all right, where in the world is Cam Thomas going to line up? Because, I mean, when you take a look at him as an offensive threat at the wideout spot for UTEP, he's exciting. He's dangerous in punt returns. And then you're like, okay, well, wait, where is he coming from again? Or, all right, let me get some tendencies on Javon Jackson. So, or, gosh, now it's Locklear. Oh, I got to go back to Austin P, right? So when you're doing film prep, you're bouncing around all over the place. So I think they got their hands full.
Well, and it's going to be a chore a little bit offensively, too, which makes you feel better about the experience Nebraska has on the offensive line. And when you start to look and compare the two, Nebraska and UTEP, of course, personnel and all that, size is going to stand out. Up front on the offensive and defensive lines, too, another area where Nebraska has a big advantage is experience on the O-line. I think UTEP has 46 starts with their offensive linemen.
Roughly around 146, right?
So, and I think half of UTEP's is with one player.
Yeah.
So hopefully the defense, specifically the defensive line, the front seven, can make some noise today.
Yeah, they will. You flip that around, though, when you got guys like, Tongaia and Westmoreland and some of these splashy playmakers that UTEP has. I think they'll test Nebraska's experience by some of the exotic stuff they try to do. But you got to remember, high risk, high reward. If you go feast or famine, Nebraska can crease you.
Huskers in UTEP, about 2.5 hours away from kickoff here in Lincoln at Memorial Stadium. A lot of foot traffic around Memorial Stadium right now, and the roads around Memorial Stadium, I'm sure, getting packed as well. Let's go ahead and get an update with our traffic with Trooper Brett.
Good afternoon, Husker fans. Traffic is building, but flowing normally heading into Lincoln ahead of today's game. If you're coming into the Capitol from the east and are looking to avoid congestion, Highway 6 is an option at the Waverly exit. You can also exit at 27th Street to avoid delays on I-180. There are reports of a slight slowdown near mile marker 414 on I-80 westbound, so please plan accordingly. If you're coming to Lincoln from the west, consider taking Highway 77 southbound to Rosa Parks Way. Fans, just like football pads, your car is designed to protect you in a collision, and your seatbelt is the MVP. Buckle up every trip and every time. I'm Trooper Brett with the Nebraska State Patrol Traffic Report on the Huskers Radio Network. This traffic report is brought to you by the NDOT.
You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
If you've been looking for a reason to fill up your car with unleaded 88, how about this? Unleaded 88
can help you save big at the pump.
And save the planet by cutting greenhouse gas emissions.
Any car 2001 or newer is approved to use unleaded 88. Speaking of good, it's made from corn, which is great for farmers.
As I was saying, if you need a reason to choose unleaded 88, there you have them. Unleaded 88. Engine smart, earth kind. Visit chooseunleaded88.com to learn more.
To be a part of Nebraska Medicine
Hi, welcome.
is to be a part of something extraordinary.
Nebraska Medicine, how may I help you?
Because these are the doors that open doors.
How are you?
To growth and opportunity for each other and for our community.
That went really well.
For those who know that the academic experience,
You know what? I agree.
the life experience that you get here is beyond what you can get anywhere else. And that's exactly why here is where you belong. Join us at nebraskamed.com/careers. Nebraska Medicine. Together, extraordinary.
This is Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac. You're listening to Big Red Football.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey, son, can you hand me that vice grip? As any farmer or rancher knows, having the right tools in the toolbox is important. That goes for your ag lending as well. If you're considering expansion, restructuring debt, or purchasing equipment, call Dakota Mac. We have a toolbox full of lending solutions to help you with your ag financing needs.
Hi, it's Nick Luxinger from Dakota Mac in Columbus, Nebraska. Call me at 402-740-6445 for all your ag financing needs.
In the heartland, where ambition thrives, there are those who are made and those who are made for more. Just like the Huskers on game day, Kloss, a leading producer of ag equipment, unleashes the power of ambition in the field. Discover why our cutting-edge machinery and unwavering support aren't just a promise, they're a commitment to your success. Because at Kloss, we know you are made for more. Visit your Kloss dealer or CLAAS.com.
Bringing almost 80 years of wealth management experience, Bridges Trust understands the value of tradition and legacy. They've built their reputation by helping clients achieve their objectives by providing services in investment management, trust and estate planning, philanthropic consulting, and family office services. Committed to offering build-to-suit and specialized wealth advisory services, Bridges Trust prioritizes their clients' best interests to support the growth and preservation of legacies for future generations. Bridges Trust. Trust for generations.
Here in Nebraska, we love our teachers. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska is teaming up with Husker Athletics to recognize teachers who help students live their best and healthiest lives. Visit huskers.com/touchdown for teachers today to tell us about your favorite Nebraska educator. Winning teachers get a school day visit from Herbie Husker and a VIP experience at the 2025 Husker football spring game. Thanks to their biggest fans at Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska. Head to huskers.com/touchdown for teachers today.
Preparation is the key to success on game day. And like your favorite Huskers on the field, you need to be ready right from the opening kickoff. Cenex has your pre-game routine covered. We've got your salty snacks, your sweet treats, ice-cold beverages to wash them down, and fresh tanks of propane to fire up the grill. Fuel your fandom at your local Cenex station. Husker Pride, powered locally.
You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Dakota Mac Husker Game Day Show. Today, the Huskers open their season against the UTEP Miners. And joining us now on our pregame show, we welcome in Patrick Murray, Senior Brand Strategist for Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Patrick, first of all, thanks for joining us here this afternoon on the Game Day Show. I really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Nebraska and Blue Cross and Blue Shield have been partnered for such a long time, have been great partners with the Huskers since I've been here and involved. Why does Blue Cross Blue Shield invest such a strong partnership with Nebraska athletics?
Yeah, well, at Blue Cross, we see ourselves as a champion for the health and well-being of every Nebraskan, and we all know there's nothing that brings our state together like a Husker game day, so it's something we're really excited about. Obviously, football season's so exciting here in Nebraska, but one thing I want to shine light on is our Sweep Away Cancer partnership with Husker Volleyball. Every time the Huskers get a sweep throughout the season, we donate $500 to the Team Jack Foundation to fight pediatric brain cancer. That's something Blue Cross is so proud to support and just shows the great partnership between Husker Athletics and Blue Cross of Nebraska.
And let's hoping for several sweeps again this year. John Cook's Huskers looking to have a very strong season once again. Blue Cross is also making waves with a new partnership with high schools across the state. Patrick, can you tell us a little bit more about this program?
Yeah, absolutely. This is something we're so excited about. Here at Blue Cross, we're all huge sports fans, and so we had this goal to get a sign in every high school gym or field across the entire state of Nebraska. You know, after 85 years, we really feel like we're Nebraska's home team when it comes to health, and we wanted to cheer for all of our home teams across Nebraska. So we wanted to do this in a way that really felt true to who we are and impact lives across the state. So this year, we're so proud to launch a program we're calling Healthy Home Team. You know, we know that schools are deeply woven in the fabric of every Nebraska community. They're so important, not just for students and teachers, but just for all of us in the communities. And so we're partnering with 100 high schools throughout the state this year, urban, rural, big, small, across Nebraska, donating $500 each to support health and well-being in their community. So we asked every school to share their vision for community health, and in November, we're going to pick one school. We're going to read through their visions and pick one school to supercharge with an extra $5,000 grant. So that's $55,000 we're deploying into 100 communities across the state. And every high school is also going to get a very cool customized sign with their name, their mascot. I'm very excited about these signs. So if you make it out to a high school sports game in Nebraska in the next couple of years, there's a very good chance that Blue Cross is going to be right there in the stands with you cheering on the home team. It's something we're so excited about. And, if people want to learn more about this great program, all they have to do is go to nebraskablue.com/healthyhometeam.
Amazing. Sounds like just potential for a dynamic partnership there, and we hope to see it blossom here as you guys get into that as the season unfolds. Really cool idea, and hope to see that executed very well. Anything else you want to say to Husker Nation today, Patrick?
Yeah, well, we just want to point out that National Farm Safety and Health Week is just 2 weeks away, starts on September 15th. So we know that so many listeners, so many Husker fans are out there entering a busy harvest season, and we just want to encourage everyone to stay safe, to stay healthy, especially our farmers and ranchers throughout the state. So Blue Cross is here to support physical and mental health and well-being all year long, and go Big Red. Can't wait for a Husker win today.
Patrick, thank you so much for joining us today and spreading your message to our audience. We really appreciate everybody at Blue Cross and Blue Shield and their outstanding partnership with Nebraska Athletics. We hope to continue this relationship for years to come. Thank you so much for the time today.
Thanks so much.
Patrick Murray, the senior brand strategist for Blue Cross and Blue Shield, with us here on the Dakota Mac Husker Game Day Show. Let's go ahead and launch into this week's edition of our Game Changer.
This is the Game Changer.
Dillon going to take a shot, flips a pass down the field as a man out, then a pass is caught. 15, 10, 5, touchdown. Jalen Lloyd finds the end zone in the spring game.
Dylan Raiola, 6'3" quarterback.
Back to throw is Raiola. Holding, set, a little flip to the end zone. Pass is caught. Touchdown. Nebraska's on the board.
Buford, Georgia.
I think Dylan's a special talent. He's got a great arm. He's worked really hard at his timing with his feet. He's protected the ball. He's aggressive in the right ways. So we're excited to see him play. He's still a rookie. There's a lot of things he has to learn. But I think, each day he'll be a little bit better than the last day.
Well, the overs hit. We made it until the last 10 minutes of the show to talk Raiola, right? There are some upset people out there that we waited this long.
No black shirts, and we're slow to go on the old DR talk. How about that?
Yeah, we do things a little differently around here, as
throwing
people
curveballs.
haven't figured out by now. Well, tell us about him, DB. What have you kind of manifested with Dylan as the player, as the quarterback, as the leader, as the guy who has the keys to the car?
Two things jump off the page right away. Number one, the moment doesn't seem too big, right? We use the word poise. We think we know what it looks like, but then you watch him kind of exude it. So I'm optimistic about that. And the other thing is he's kind of become the Pied Piper. He has that personality that people gravitate towards, that people want to be around. And that's interesting from the leadership standpoint, because as he's had to compartmentalize the expectations, then the competition, then now it's the interview requests, now it's getting ready for the opener. He's had a lot to kind of manage and chunk off. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at his demeanor, how he'll take this all in and embrace the moment.
Well, we try and stay away from some cliche, but it's a no-brainer to put him as our first game changer because, number one, we want to see what he looks like. What's he look like throwing the ball? What's his command of the offense? It's, by all accounts, they're not going to ease him into this. No. It's going to be go play football. What's reasonable to expect today?
Well, I tell you, I'd like to see a shot play early, to be honest. And this is coming from a guy that wants them to establish some consistency in the ground game. But I think they may let one rip here early just to kind of let him get acclimated and see if we can't, catch some momentum early. You heard him talk for the last 3 weeks in camp, that they won't coach this game out of fear. They won't coach him like a freshman, and they'll turn him loose. So I'm hoping to see that on the first series.
We'll step aside. We'll take our final break. We're wrapping up the show after this.
You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
Tackle the toughest tasks on your farm with Brand Agricultural Products. They've got a complete lineup of grain handling and tillage equipment to take you from the preseason all the way to the playoffs or harvest. All their ag equipment is North American built and backed by an extensive network of dealerships that provide support over the long run. Lead the field with Brand Agricultural Products. Visit Brand.ca for more.
Set. Hike. When champions take the field, they come ready to play. TNL Irrigation understands the value of momentum. Like a Husker drive, there's no stopping. If you live for farming and football like we do, TNL Irrigation has you covered. Check your fields from the game with a remote system, or just enjoy the play knowing our systems are reliable as a sold-out Memorial Stadium. Touchdown! Nebraska born, Nebraska strong. Husker Nation and TNL Irrigation are like no other.
If you've been looking for a reason to fill up your car with unleaded 88, how about this? Unleaded 88
can help you save big at the pump.
And save the planet by cutting greenhouse gas emissions.
Any car 2001 or newer is approved to use unleaded 88. Speaking of good, it's made from corn, which is great for farmers.
As I was saying, if you need a reason to choose unleaded 88, there you have them. Unleaded 88. Engine smart, earth kind. Visit chooseunleaded88.com to learn more.
This is Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac. You're listening to Big Red Football.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey, son, can you hand me that vice grip? As any farmer or rancher knows, having the right tools in the toolbox is important. That goes for your ag lending as well. If you're considering expansion, restructuring debt, or purchasing equipment, call Dakota Mac. We have a toolbox full of lending solutions to help you with your ag financing needs.
Hi, it's Nick Luxinger from Dakota Mac in Columbus, Nebraska. Call me at 402-740-6445 for all your ag financing needs.
In the heartland, where ambition thrives, there are those who are made and those who are made for more. Just like the Huskers on game day, Kloss, a leading producer of ag equipment, unleashes the power of ambition in the field. Discover why our cutting-edge machinery and unwavering support aren't just a promise, they're a commitment to your success. Because at Kloss, we know you are made for more. Visit your Kloss dealer or CLAAS.com.
Bringing almost 80 years of wealth management experience, Bridges Trust understands the value of tradition and legacy. They've built their reputation by helping clients achieve their objectives by providing services in investment management, trust and estate planning, philanthropic consulting, and family office services. Committed to offering build-to-suit and specialized wealth advisory services, Bridges Trust prioritizes their clients' best interests to support the growth and preservation of legacies for future generations. Bridges Trust. Trust for generations.
Here in Nebraska, we love our teachers. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska is teaming up with Husker Athletics to recognize teachers who help students live their best and healthiest lives. Visit huskers.com/touchdown for teachers today to tell us about your favorite Nebraska educator. Winning teachers get a school day visit from Herbie Husker and a VIP experience at the 2025 Husker football spring game, thanks to their biggest fans at Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska. Head to huskers.com/touchdown for teachers today.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
To be a part of Nebraska medicine
Hi, welcome.
is to be a part of something extraordinary.
Nebraska Medicine, how may I help you?
Because these are the doors that open doors.
How are you?
To growth and opportunity for each other and for our community.
That went really well.
For those who know that the academic experience,
You know what? I agree.
the life experience that you get here is beyond what you can get anywhere else. And that's exactly why here is where you belong. Join us at nebraskamed.com/careers. Nebraska Medicine. Together, extraordinary.
You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
Back one final time on the Dakota Mac Husker Game Day Show. Ben McLaughlin joined by color analyst Damon Benning. Time now for our SOS Weather Impact segment, brought to you by SOS Heating and Cooling, with fair prices, honest opinions, and longer warranties. They're Omaha area's trustworthy company since 1950. It is 79 degrees right now. Sure feels a little bit warmer than that. Don't be deceived by the temps. It's going to be a little warm one out there today. First one usually is, so buckle up if you're out there. If you're a fan, hydrate, and hydrate the right way, and hopefully you can last the duration of the game. That would be good. That'd be a good thing. Our ground game report is brought to you by Brand Industries. Make sure your ground game is up to speed with Brandt high-speed disc for a better field finish and fewer passes. We have not yet talked about the running backs, and has nothing to do with the fact that you played running back.
Yeah, I think
what are you hoping to see today out of the four horsemen?
Yeah, I think consistency is what they're after, and it wouldn't surprise me at all, knowing kind of how this staff forecasts through the interviews and kind of how they take the podium. Would not surprise me at all if Dowdell took the first snaps today, right? But what I do look for is an established ground game. I think they want to be able to hand the ball off when they both want and need to. So you'd like to get that started a little bit early, especially if you took a look and watched anything that happened this week with next week's opponent. Establish the ground game.
Yeah, that bleeds right into the keys to today's performance. Obviously, we mentioned the ground game. Defensively, what are you hoping to see today out of Tony White's Black Shirts?
Two things right away. Get lined up correctly, right? The UTEP will snap the ball quickly, 12, 13 seconds. The headsets, they may be able to go faster than that. So Nebraska will have to get lined up correctly. And then not so much take the ball away, but when you have an opportunity, when it's on the ground or you get your hands on it, make the most of it. They lead the country the last 7 or 8 years of balls on the ground that they don't end up recovering. It's almost uncanny. So be opportunistic on defense.
Yeah, one more of those for me. A lot of wide receiver screens. They're going to get the ball out quick. Tackling in space on the edge, to me, is going to be a big one. No leaky yardage would be huge. Keys to today's performance brought to you by Prairie Valley Seeds. Grow without limits. That'll wrap us up here on the Dakota Mac Husker Game Day Show. Appreciate everybody that was a part of this one. Thanks to Josh Hilkman for producing, Jessica Cootie for knocking out our Cornhusker conversation, and Jake Schrantz for doing our opponent preview. We'll step aside for Countdown to Kickoff. The voice of the Huskers, Greg Sharp, has you for the next hour, and we'll get you ready for a 2:30 kick, about 2 hours away from the season opener for Nebraska and UTEP year number 2 under Matt Rule, coming your way in about 2 hours. DB and I will talk to you again next week as the Huskers take on the Buffaloes, but you've made it. Congrats. Husker football is back. We're back with you. Countdown to Kickoff with Greg Sharp coming up next.